to the Astrology of Terrible Things podcast with me, Carly Heath, and my co-host, Jessie Devine. Her ascendant ruler entered her 8th house. So Jessie got sick recently. So I did do...
Oh my God, so sick, you guys.
I did do a podcast recording with a guest host. So you don't know about it yet.
Yeah, what?
So I feel like I cheated on you.
Betrayal. What is the astrology of this betrayal?
I know. The astrology of this betrayal is Mars in your 8th house. The 8th house deals with shared resources and like having me go and
rude
and steal your thunder by using someone else. So
they're not nearly as cool as me. I don't even know who it is, and I already know
that. So this is a podcast where we bring you terrible stories of things that have happened to real people. And then we delve into the astrology of that terrible thing to try and figure out why bad things happen. Important note, this podcast comes with all the trigger warnings. We talk about amusement park disasters, serial killers, catastrophic accidents, and all sorts of events that usually result in people dying. If any of that sounds like something that you don't want to hear about, then please do not listen to this show. We are in Scorpio season, Jessie. You are a fan of Scorpios. What do you like about Scorpios? I am a fan of Scorpios.
Oh, you know what? I feel like Scorpios get a bad rap. Everyone's always like, oh, they're so intense. They're so weird. But I'm like, that's what I love about them. I like, generally speaking, like I will meet somebody and I'll be like, oh man, we're really clicking. We're getting along. And then I'll be like, when's your birthday? I don't know.
And they're Scorpio.
Yeah, you're Scorpio.
Your fiance is a Scorpio rising, right?
My husband is.
Oh, sir. Oh my God. Hello. It's been like months since you guys have been married. I'm sorry.
And he's actually just a Scorpio. Just
okay. Yeah.
Son.
That's right.
His birthday's on the 11th. But he's got a lot. If I remember correctly, he's got a lot of Scorpio in his chart. Just like everywhere.
I remember that.
Yeah.
A Scorpio season is not representing very well so far. First day of Scorpio season for me, I was riding my bike to work and someone got like really aggressive with me about riding my bike on the sidewalk. And I'm like, I'm not going to ride in the street right now because the cars are intentionally trying to kill me. So, and I swerved like way around this fellow. And just got really mad. There's been a lot of tempers flaring. And then there's also like genocide happening in the world, like with Scorpio season happening. It's just been it's been extremely aggressive. Have you noticed like just personally any aggressive vibes or is it because you're...
Oh no, 100%. Oh my God, I have this like, so you know that I'm very into volleyball. This is my like microcosm world is this like volleyball group here. And I, over the last year, have sort of become an admin in this group, just because I'm always there. I basically live there. And, man, the guy that used to run the group, he like lost his shit the other day. He like these girls had reserved the other court at this park. And, he like went over there and started yelling at them that they had reserved it in retaliation or something to our group. And like, this has been like a multi-week thing, and he like came back the next week and like threw this huge fit and started talking to them and like cursing at them and like went and like stood on their court and like wouldn't move, and to the point where like members of our group were embarrassed and like we're trying to like collect him, but he's like the OG like leader of the group, so none of us could really do anything, and we were all just like, oh my God, make it stop.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about Scorpios is they can embarrass themselves by like just, I will die on this hill.
That's exactly what it was. He was just like extremely, and we were all just like, I don't think this is worth it. Like, I don't think, and he just was not having it.
Yeah. And it's interesting in my group chat with some friends, hearing sirens.
Perfect for this podcast.
When I have headphones on, it's like I can't tell if it's you sirens or me sirens, but those sirens are a definite synchronicity as I'm talking about like terrible things happening in Scorpio season, because my friend in our group chat was like, when are things going to get better? Things are so suddenly like really, really bad right now. And I'm like, okay, let me look at the chart. Oh,
Never.
oh. Things kind of look like they're going to be bad for a little while, like not just when Scorpio season ends, but like even when Venus finally goes into Libra, which will be like November 10th, then Mercury is going to be in Sagittarius and immediately hit a square to Saturn. So everyone's going to get a big old no. And then when Mercury is in Sagittarius, that's like Mercury doesn't function well and it feels very Mercury retrograde time.
No.
So it's like there will be diplomacy, but it won't be communicated well. And I think there's just going to be a lot of confusion, a lot of just a lot of bad vibes throughout the end of the year. And I think people should just,
Yay.
especially just chill,
Stay home.
calm down, just calm down, everyone.
That's so funny. Yeah, but I generally speaking, back to the subject here. I just love I love Scorpios. I love like true Scorpio energy. Like I love like cold vengeance. I love like my husband is very much like this. He's like, oh, he's like very calm. He's very like, okay, that's fine. And then like a plot, like just deep like string pulling power, like and he's so smart where like I don't know, he's very my husband is a very good person to have on your good side and not a good person to have on your bad side. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, I'm guessing like it's not a plot against you.
No, me never. No.
Well, no, you have Jupiter in your seventh house, so
Yeah,
you're always
never,
gonna
no.
get good vibes from other people.
No, I just mean like yeah, somebody like wrongs him, like which doesn't happen very often. He's very charismatic. I forget his trait. He's got like I think he's like a Leo rising or something. And but no, if anybody ever like really wrongs him, he's definitely not the type to react in the moment. It's very much like oh, this will come back to haunt you later, I promise. He's like a long game,
I'll
like
play the long game.
yes,
The
long
long
game,
con
like
to
behind the
ruin your life.
scenes. Yes, behind the scenes, true power type of individual.
I mean, as a Libra, which is like the opposite of Scorpio, I can definitely hold a grudge until the end of time. but I don't bother plotting. Although I have taken some magical oil and dribbled it over a person's stuff to get them to leave.
Leave.
So yeah, I just pulled up Bruno's chart. He's a Leo rising. He's got that Mars in the second house in Virgo and a Scorpio sun. Yeah, with a Jupiter. Oh no, just kidding, not Jupiter. Mercury and the sun and Uranus all in Scorpio in the fourth house. Fascinating. Since the sun rules his ascendant, and the sun is in Scorpio, yeah, he definitely comes with a lot of Scorpio energy, but also with that Virgo energy, because there's that mutual reception there between the Mars in Virgo and the Mercury in Scorpio. That's fascinating.
Mm-hmm. I know. His chart fascinates me.
I am really looking forward to, though, starting pretty much next week when Venus will go into Libra, because that will be a little bit of niceness. Because right now it's all Mars energy. Right now it's all war. It's all like fighting. And
you know how much I love Mars. Mars in my chart is just in such a good
yeah,
spot.
you have that Cancer Mars, which is the emotional Mars, the like Mars.
Nobody likes that.
Make your feelings. I'll give you all up in your feelings. And the Mars of anxiety and depression. Yeah, I'm sorry.
For nothing.
But you'll learn from it. You'll be a better person. You'll heal your
maybe
through evolution or something. But when we enter the Libra season with the Venus and Libra, that's what I meant to say. We'll learn, I think, some things about what we covered in our Venus retrograde, because now, Venus was kind of behind the scenes, not doing good in exile while she was in Virgo after the retrograde. Now she's coming back into her power with all this new knowledge that she gained from the retrograde. And I'm wondering if aliens are going to come back into the picture, because aliens were a theme during the Venus retrograde.
Mm-hmm.
And you had in Las Vegas, there was like a big alien story.
Yeah, I remember that.
But interestingly, I looked up the chart both for the UAP hearings and the aliens in Las Vegas thing. And what else? I also looked up some hearings in 2012, 20, not 2012, 2022, 2022, that were some like alien hearings. And I'm noticing there is like a huge Neptune vibe in all of these charts. And Neptune is like the planet of erasing boundaries
Mm-hmm.
and also the planet of deception. And that is a really big theme that I noticed, like with all of these alien stories. And there's even been like a lot of Bigfoot stuff, and there's been a lot of cool, weird stuff happening over the summer. But it's like you don't know if it's true or not.
Right, yeah.
And
I like was fascinated by the so all the alien stories came out, right? And the whole everybody was making the memes and the jokes about like, okay, the federal government told us that aliens are real, and everybody's like, and what about my rent? Like, and what about inflation? Like,
yeah,
and which is a funny, like, haha, but also like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? Like, can we get more information? Like, what is there? How can it ever be like any kind of like? I want to. I don't know.
that's
I
the
want to know what.
Neptune thing.
Yeah, like what the heck?
I mean, I, for one, I am like a longtime believer. I absolutely, aliens are real. Like, you
No,
cannot
definitely.
convince me otherwise. Uh, there's just too much out there. Also,
Yeah.
same for Bigfoot. There's just too much out there that confirms it. And there's the whole military industrial complex that has an incentive to keep it secret.
Mm-hmm.
So, but then there's this Neptune thing that happened that's in the chart of all of the hearings of the Las Vegas thing, of the where it's like you don't know whether it's real. Like there's all of these doubts and
Mm-hmm.
lies. Neptune is
Yeah.
lies. Neptune is like it's unclear. And it just makes it makes you wonder.
No, yeah, definitely. I want to know the truth. I also believe in aliens, definitely. I think that there's just too much in the universe for there to not be aliens. I think that that's absurd
Yeah.
to think that we would be the only ones, but I don't know. I feel sort of I don't I don't know. Like, I don't know if at a loss is the right word, or I just want to know. Like, I just want to know,
I want the
I'm like,
press conference with the alien leader. I
yes.
want questions being answered. I,
I, I just want the information. I just want the real information. Like, I don't want, like, I'm just tired of the bullshit.
and what's really irritating too is with AI and all this AI generated image stuff. You
Mm.
see, I'm still on stupid Twitter. I need to get off of it. But Twitter
It's
knows
X
that
now, Carly.
yeah, if there's hashtag UAP or hashtag Bigfoot, I will click on it.
Yeah.
But the problem is the AI visuals now, it's like all of it's fake. And
Oh,
it's
yeah.
all just like stuff created to generate clicks. And I'm like, this is extremely frustrating.
Hmm.
Neptune. And what it got me thinking, what is going to happen when Neptune enters Aries in late 2025? For you and I, Jessie, that is going to be a big time because that means Neptune is going to be directly opposite our 0 degree ascendants.
Ooh.
So, what does that mean? That is either going to mean that, so Neptune is associated with music, drugs, um, ghosty, liminal stuff, uh, fame. Are we going to
Ooh.
be famous? Uh, Confusion, lies. Also notice people who have Neptune on their ascendant, like they don't know what they want. They're
Mm.
always like just going along with what other people say, and they're oh, my friend is into this thing, so I'll be into it too. So I do not I'm not a substance user, but and I'm not really a musician type person, but you are a musician type person.
Hmm. Yes,
So it'll be interesting when you have Neptune on your ascendant.
that will be interesting. 2025. Man, I always think sometimes we look at these charts and I'm always just like, that is so far away.
Yeah, but then like it just happens and it's like happening right now.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, so we bullshitted for a little bit. Let tell me about your chart that you found.
Okay, so I do have another chart for you. I am very excited to hear what you have to say about this one. And as usual, I have removed all of the identifying information from it. Hidden birth data. Yes, that's the correct one. Okay, so I'm going to send that to you right now.
Cool. Okay. So this is another Gemini ascendant. You like these Gemini ascendants? That's interesting. And we have, so where's Mercury? We have Mercury in the eighth house, the house of death. Um,
Surprise, surprise.
and we have Pluto right on the ascendant. Pluto is the planet of death. This is a day chart, so we know Mars is the most malefic uh, thing, and it is so Mars is in the ninth house, which is Aquarius. Um, so something to do terrible to do with long distance travel, foreigners, law, higher education. The Mercury makes me think of higher education. The Mercury ascendant um, makes me think of higher education. But interestingly, the Jupiter is well dignified. So there was in the 10th house. So there was a lot of publicity possibly for this thing. And the idea of law, possibly justice was served. But the moon was departing from Jupiter. So that points to there was something related to justice in the past, related to justice, higher education, foreigners. There's that Pisces water element too. So you also like Pisces. There's been a lot of Pisces water. There's Venus in Scorpio. So there's like your previous chart. There's a lot of water
Mhm.
happening here. Um, and Uranus on the descendant. So I almost want to say something related to technology. I feel like there's that Saturn there in the ninth house. Something related to law, higher education, or foreigners. Bad happening in like almost like an institution. I want to say there's money involved, like other people's money involved too. Like an institution, other people's money involved. And it's almost like the attack might not have been like on people, but on something untangible.
I'm not
Uh,
telling you anything.
and the moon in Taurus makes me think there's something to do with money. We've been rocking the nodes in Aries Libra for a while. So since the last one too, you got a Aries Libra, first degree node thing. So that's interesting.
What, okay, just like hilarious about this for like everyone who's listening. I don't like I choose the event first and then
Yeah.
I like look up the chart. I am not doing that on purpose.
Yeah. It's interesting though, you're choosing similar themes and that are kind of themes that are relevant to. Okay. So I want to say it's something that happens at an institution, uh, potentially connected to law or higher education or even like banking, and has to do with money, other people's money, and technology. I want to say there might be water in there somewhere too. Okay, what was it?
It is the Iroquois Theater fire.
The Iroquois Theater fire.
Yeah.
Oh, and so an institution
Mm-hmm.
was a theater.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, tell us what happened during the story.
Okay, so it was December 30th, 1903 at 3:15 p.m. in Chicago. The technology thing I assume is the origin of the fire was a broken arc light.
Oh
Um
my gosh, which is like big technology back then, like
yeah.
electricity.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like yeah, electricity was a huge deal in 1903. That
1903.
that
Yeah.
a theater was this like a small town, like a village or a
No,
like
no, no.
big
Chicago is right in
oh
Chicago.
Chicago. Okay.
Yeah.
But still, that's like new technology.
Yeah, so it was a broken arc light, lit some muslin curtains on fire, which I think, so apparently the theater was billed as being absolutely fireproof, which I don't know why
Oh,
we do this to ourselves.
that's like Titanic. This is
It is.
unspeakable.
It
Yeah.
is. Apparently the theater opened a month before the fire, billed as absolutely fireproof, and was obviously not fireproof. The fire caused 602 deaths and 250 non-fatal injuries. It is the worst theater fire in the United States.
Wow.
And apparently for nearly a century, the Iroquois Theater fire was the deadliest single building disaster in American history, only surpassed by the destruction of the World Trade Center on September 11th.
Hey guys, this is a message from future Carly. I am in bed editing this episode and got to this part where I'm talking about the ninth house and the Iroquois uh, theater fire. And I'm like, there's so much ninth house and Jupiter stuff happening here. And I talked extensively about it in my prediction of what this chart was about. Jupiter in Pisces, foreigners, water, boating, long distance travel to foreign lands. And then there's that ninth house energy, which is higher education, also foreigners, and also, religion. And since there's so much ninth house energy and then this Jupiter in Pisces energy, I'm like, there has to be more to it than just this being a theater. We have to see the symbolism show up somewhere. So I did further research, and the musical that they were watching when the Iroquois theater fire happened was called Mr. Bluebeard, which Jessie talked about. And this is actually set in Baghdad. And I'm getting a general gist by reading the synopsis here, but there's someone named Mustafa, and there's like a potential love rival, which is a Irish person, and there is a nun named Sister Anne. So we got that religion. But interestingly, I also saw one of the songs in this musical in Act One, Scene Two is called You'll Have to Read the Answer in the Stars. And here are the lyrics. They say astrology is true. The little stars know all you do. They even know more than your wife, for they can tell your future life. Why does your girl get in a rage if she should ask her what's her age? The little stars are on to her. So ask some good astrologer. It goes on. You'll have to read the whole lyrics, but it is hilarious. And so there is that ninth house energy. And then what's the Jupiter in Pisces energy? Anytime there's Jupiter in Pisces, there's always boating, there's always water, there's always oceans. And Act One, Scene Two takes place on a yacht. Was there like an insurance fraud thing happening here? Like, was this fire caused like so that someone could get some insurance money?
I wonder, you were talking about that. Oh, and the thing that I thought was interesting about the law, that you were talking about the law a lot. Apparently the result of this fire was the widespread implementation of the panic bar, and doors that open outward, and a whole bunch of other like fire safety laws were put
Oh,
into place specifically because of this actual fire.
oh, interesting. And I wonder if water had to do with, I mean, Chicago is on the water. Like,
Yeah, maybe.
how close was it to what's that body of water by Chicago? This is me being bad at geography.
Oh my
But
God, that's funny.
but I know there's like a big old, like it's right on a big old lake, right? Oh my God, I'm so like bad at picturing
It's on
where
Lake
Chicago
Michigan.
is
It's
right
on
now.
it's on Lake Michigan. That's funny.
Lake Michigan. See,
Yeah. Let's
I'm gonna blame
see.
me being tired for not knowing that right away.
The Iroquois. Let's see. Let's see. The Iroquois
I'm
Theater.
sure water, like they were putting out the fire.
Yeah, no, I'm sure. Yeah.
So,
They tried to. They let's see. The fire broke out about 3:15 when the Iroquois presented a matinee performance of the musical Mr. Bluebeard.
oh,
A broken arc lamp ignited muslin curtains, which stage managers were unable to douse. An attempt to lower the stage curtain to contain the fire was unsuccessful. Audience members frantically rushed for the exits, only to find the fire exits were locked or hidden. The largest death toll was at
ooh,
the base.
exits locked. That was the Saturn and Aquarius,
Yeah.
being unable to escape the building.
Mm-hmm. Largest death toll was at the base of the stairways, where hundreds were trampled, crushed, or asphyxiated. Some people jumped to their deaths from fire escapes. The Iroquois had no fire alarm box or telephone. Uh, Two features, a safety curtain or fire dampeners, were not present or not working the day of the fire. Other contributing factors included a lack of exit signs, lack of emergency lighting, fire preparedness, doors that opened inward or were latched shut, confusing exit routes, icy fire escapes. And this was something I thought was super interesting, the presence of ornamental doors. Can you imagine like being in a
Wow.
fire and like
And you're
running
like,
for your life and you're trying to like open doors that are not real?
that's
So,
such a Saturn thing with Mercury and a Saturn ruled sign, the sun in Capricorn. I should have noticed that sun in Capricorn thing, like boundaries.
uh-huh.
Sun in Capricorn, Mercury in Capricorn, Saturn uh, with Mars in Aquarius, like the doors are not going to be open. You're going to get walls.
Yeah.
Suffocation is a huge Saturn thing. So,
Yeah. Well, and apparently like this was the place to be. It was in terms of I don't know if there's an insurance thing. Uh it seems very fancy. Let's see. The theater was lauded by drama critics. The Iroquois was the most beautiful in Chicago. Competent judges state that few theaters in America can rival its architectural perfections. Apparently, it had like 3 audience levels and it was very fancy.
how do you spell Iroquois?
Iroquois.
Theater fire insurance.
It's just
I'm just gonna see if anyone has any theories about the insurance fraud thing. Nothing is popping up. However, I found this article that says the Iroquois Theater fire stage set for disaster. The audience, and then somewhere in here I saw the dramatic changes in the way insurers assess risk is worth acknowledging as Americans reflect on the 110th anniversary of the. It offers a grim reminder to insurers and government regulators that what can happen when complacency sets in. Insurers, policyholders, and public policy makers must continue to implement sound risk management practices to ensure tragedies are never repeated. We will have to tell our listeners to see if there's any insurance related things
to the Iroquois fire. How about this? After the fire, it was alleged that fire inspectors had been bribed with free tickets to overlook code violations.
There you go. That's very eighth house. Look over your obligations in exchange for free tickets. That's that
Wild.
eighth house thing right there. Love it. Okay. I am going to tell you a story about, have you heard of this one before? Baby Jessica falling in the well.
No,
Heard
I
the story?
have not heard of this.
Okay, this is, I wanted to pick something that had kind of a happy ending a little bit, in that baby Jessica did not end up dying, and what ended up happening is she just ended up having her toe amputated because she lost circulation in her foot. But this is it was a huge story in 1987. There were 7 news stations back in 1987, only 7 channels on your TV set. And it was just the beginning of the 24-hour news cycle. And there'd only been one previous time when a news story was covered 24/7. And that was when the Space Shuttle Challenger erupted.
Okay.
And this was the second time, this Baby Jessica story was the second time that news channels were 24/7 covering the story of this baby that fell in a well and the attempt to get her out of the well. I got the idea for doing the story from My Favorite Murder, and I referenced them a lot as I was going through and finding all of the details. So thank you to that wonderful podcast. On October 14th, 1987, at about 9:30 a.m., Jessica McClure, who is about 18 months old, fell into a well in Midland, Texas. This absolutely captured the nation's attention. It led to a movie being made about the whole incident. People, after she was rescued, kept donating money to her trust fund throughout her life. And by the time she came of age, when she was in her 20s, she had $800,000 in her trust fund.
Oh my God. Can you just, not to like make an aside or anything, but can you imagine anything capturing the public attention for more than like, I don't know, a couple hours at this point?
People were glued to their sets.
How? Like, I can't even imagine.
As they were digging down into the well to get this baby out. Nancy Reagan was in the hospital for a biopsy, and President Ronald Reagan afterwards said that Nancy would not leave the hospital until she found out that the baby was rescued from the well.
Oh my God.
Just absolutely insane bit of coverage. So what happened was Jessica's mother was 18-year-old Sissy McClure. She was at her sister Jamie's daycare in Midland, Texas, and there were 5 kids playing in the backyard. Sissy heard the phone ring. She went inside to answer the phone, and then while she was talking on the phone, she heard the kids scream. She went outside and she saw all the kids gathered around an 8-inch wide pipe. So think about that, narrower than a ruler.
Oh my God.
8 inches wide. And they said that the baby fell down into this pipe.
How? Like 8 inch? How?
So she must have climbed up. She had 1 foot when she got stuck down there. She had 1 foot above her head and 1 foot down. So she must have like climbed up and then like just went down feet first. Thank God, not head first, because if she went down head first, she would be dead.
Yeah.
But called 911. The pipe went down into an abandoned well, and Sissy is frantic. The shaft is too dark to see in. Paramedics arrive on the scene. They can hear faint crying. They start pumping oxygen down into this pipe, and they lower a microphone and a flashlight to hear her. And judging by the length of the microphone cord, she had fallen 22 feet down the well. 22
Jesus.
feet is a lot.
That is a lot.
She's stuck with her right leg up and pinned. And what they have to do is they have to dig a second shaft next to the well and then tunnel across to get her from underneath. The problem is they hit bedrock and it's impossible to drill through. And now, because this is Texas, there's a lot of oil drilling. So they are able to acquire this special rig that is used to really go through the bedrock. All the neighbors begin to gather and fill up the backyards and neighboring backyards, offering to help. That's when Sergeant Andy Glasscock arrives on the scene, one of the first responders, and he lays down on the pipe and talks gently to her and gets Jessica to respond to him. And they need to
Okay.
keep her talking so that they know she's alive,
Right.
you know. And this part like makes me cry.
Oh my God.
I heard it. He's a dad, and he's like very, very gentle with her. And so there's
Mhm.
some times where she's just so traumatized that she's not responding. So he says, "What does a kitten say?" And she says, "Meow."
Oh my God.
What, and he does like these different animals. What does a duck say? And she's like, "Quack, quack." She's an 18-month-old child, and he like knows how to like get her to like respond. We're going to hear more about Sergeant Glasscock at the end of the story.
Okay.
But like that part, I was like, oh my gosh, that is so sweet. I cannot even stand it.
Yeah.
Um, she sings Winnie the Pooh to comfort herself.
Oh my God.
I
This
just
is
think
awful,
she's
Carly.
18 months old, and she ends up being in this well for 58 hours.
Oh, holy shit.
In October,
Oh my God. Freezing.
through the
Well,
night.
okay, so it's Texas. It's Texas. Okay.
Oh my God. I just can't imagine. So it's getting dark. They go in with a jackhammer. They can only make an inch an hour through this bedrock. And then on October 15th, they finally reach the wall of the well and are only able to make a little small hole for entry. All sorts of characters begin arriving on the scene. This fellow, Ron Short, was born without collarbones and could fold his shoulders into and get into cramped spaces. There is a contortionist, like a circus contortionist, who shows up and is like, "What can I do? How can I help?" But ultimately, they didn't use no collarbone guy. They didn't use contortionist. They had a firefighter arrive on the scene, and he goes down the shaft. He's 6 foot tall, 158, no, 145 pounds. And he goes,
145 pounds. That is very thin.
yeah, so he's a thin guy, but it's a very, very narrow hole. And he doesn't reveal to them that he's claustrophobic.
Oh,
And so he goes down noon on the third day, and he has to be on his back as he wiggles through this hole. And
the hole that they've drilled.
yeah, the hole that they
Okay.
drilled. And he says and he has to go down head first, down the vertical hole, and then on his back down the horizontal hole, like the
Mhm.
little, oh my God. And he says, like being in a tightly wrapped sleeping bag. Uh, he tells the little girl that he's there to help, and he tugs and tugs on her to try and get her through, but she's not budging. And so
Okay.
he has to go back up the hole without her, tell them that he wasn't able to get her. They need to widen the hole. And then he goes down a second time. He brings Vaseline. But like, imagine being claustrophobic and being like, oh God, I have to go. I'm so claustrophobic. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, Vaseline.
But, but it would take a lot for me to go into a tiny hole.
Why did he tell them? Like, why didn't he just let someone who wasn't claustrophobic do it?
Because he was
Like,
really skinny, and he's like, I'm a firefighter, I'm really skinny, and I'm gonna do my job and save this baby.
I'm
um
sorry, I hear myself laughing.
I, well, I,
Oh.
I have such respect for brave people because I am not
Mhm.
brave at all. And I really feel sorry for anyone who's in any sort of danger while I'm around. I'm not gonna go in the hole and
That is
save
really
you.
funny. I have like I'm opposite of this. I will just like jump into any dangerous situation, which as you know, also probably not good, but one day we should talk about the that day that I like jumped into the river to save my friend that was drowning.
Oh my gosh, we'll have to talk about that.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
What? That's
Fun
amazing. I
story.
would save someone from drowning. I could do that. I
Yeah.
I mean, I went into the river to down the river to save a cat. Uh
That tracks for your character.
yeah. I probably wouldn't go into a hole to save a baby. I would definitely be the
Would you
one,
go into
like
a hole to save a cat?
maybe. Anyway, before people hate me more, The
I,
the
you know what? I think you're gonna find your crowd with this. I think that there are plenty of people that would save a cat over a baby.
but I don't know if I'm hearing her crying and she's singing Winnie the Pooh to comfort herself. Oh my god, oh my god, that gets me. I'm like, oh, okay. So so he goes down a second time, Vaseline, wiggles her out, brings her on a flat board up the long shaft. Breaking, this is absolute breaking news. Every 7 TV channels that are existing right now cut their normally scheduled program. This has never been done before. And go live to Midland, Texas to see the baby being brought out of the well.
Mm-hmm.
The photographer, the photographer who takes a picture of baby Jessica as she emerges from the well wins a Pulitzer Prize. People pay her hospital bills. The doctors donate their time, but the rest of the hospital bills are paid for by baby Jessica's fans. She needs 6 surgeries. She has like a cut on her head, that circulation problem with her foot, but otherwise she's uninjured. She's fine. She goes on to live a great, productive life.
Imagine being that baby. Imagine being like you're just playing outside and then all of a sudden you're stuck in a hole for 3 days.
She has no memory of it. I'm
Yeah,
sure, like being an 18-month-old, you don't remember things that well. And maybe it's a traumatic thing. So, like,
yeah,
maybe your brain like
I'm sure.
shuts
Yeah.
off. Uh, so she remembers nothing about it other than, she has one missing toe and a little scar on her forehead. Interesting things happen to everyone around baby Jessica, though. Andy Glasscock, the man who was singing, the sergeant who was singing, no, not singing, the sergeant who was saying, "What does a kitten say?"
Mm-hmm.
He was featured in the Michael Jackson video "Man in the Mirror." Um,
Really?
yeah, because it shows like all of these different like big news stories.
Mm-hmm.
And he eventually goes full milkshake duck. He, in 2005, he was arrested and convicted for drugging and raping a 51-year-old woman.
Oh no.
And he
Never
blamed,
meet your heroes.
I know. And the story of me going from, oh my God, this man is so gentle with this child, this is the most beautiful thing, to, oh, he's
Oh,
a
you're a
terrible
predator.
person. Uh, the standard arc of many white men.
Yeah, unfortunate.
Unfortunate. But he actually blamed the baby Jessica story for being a murder rapist. He
Oh,
says
what?
that,
How did he justify that?
yeah, men will totally always find a way to blame a woman, even if she's a baby. uh he says that he got addicted to the adrenaline rush of that rescue, and he was constantly seeking that out, and so that turned him into
That
a rapist.
that seems like you just need some therapy, my man.
Yeah,
Or like go to a theme park. Like ride a roller coaster. Don't rape people.
yeah. The firefighter who rescued baby Jessica and brought her out of the hole became addicted to painkillers, lost his job, got a divorce, and ended up dying by suicide.
Oh my God. I thought you said this had a good ending.
Baby Jessica is fine. She turned out to be a nice, normal, wonderful person and has $800,000. The men around her who did the saving ended up being terrible people, or not. I don't actually, I shouldn't even say that about the firefighter. He just had,
Yeah,
he
an
didn't
addiction
do anything
problem.
bad. He just had a bad time. There was a little bit of the Sissy the mom. It sounded like she had moments where she was getting a little bit, feeling very fancy about
Oh,
her being the mom of baby Jessica, because I guess there was a story of some of, well, one, she used $30,000 of baby Jessica's money to buy a 3-bedroom house.
$30,000 to buy a 3-bedroom house.
Yeah, so that's a thing. The 80s. Wow.
Oh my
People
God.
could actually afford to live.
I hate that.
So people were feeling a little bit a certain way about that. And she also
That
told
doesn't even make me mad. I'm like, whatever.
one of her neighbors was not respecting her, and she she said to this neighbor, do you know who I am?
Oh my God.
And the neighbor was like, no. Then she was like, I'm baby Jessica's mom. And the neighbor was like, if it weren't for a lot of other people, you wouldn't be anyone's mom.
Oh, that is rough. Not
So
wrong, but
it got like that in Midland, Texas.
that's not surprising.
So interestingly, I noticed that baby Jessica has in her birth chart the galactic center is the where the location of the black hole that's in the center of our galaxy
Okay.
is like right on her, like on her kind of like on her descendant, on her part of spirit. She's got like Uranus, she's got Mars, all around the galactic center on her descendant. So she's got like all of this planetary energy around the galactic center. And I really started like looking at the galactic center as like a signification that deals with holes because I I was at the barn, and this old lady at the barn was like, just randomly telling me the story of her neighbor in the 80s fell into a hole on the sidewalk. There used to be holes everywhere that people fell into, but
Okay.
specifically in the 80s, specifically around like 1987, 1988. And I made a Twitter thread of every news story I could find of someone falling in a hole.
Did
And
you really?
yeah, I did. You'll have to look
Amazing.
up on Twitter.
Okay.
So everyone falling into a hole in the 1980s, and most of it was like around around the 1987, 1988, that sort of range.
Okay.
And that had to do with, there was, let me see, where's the baby Jessica hole? All in well chart. There we go. That had to do with Uranus and Saturn crossing over the galactic center, getting really close to the galactic center. Really, that whole area that's like because the galactic center, the black hole in the center of our galaxy is big.
Mhm.
Um, so that whole like n degree of Sagittarius, I have a feeling has to do with holes. And whenever we start to see planets cross over that, which we'll be seeing next month, like Mercury crossing over that, pay attention to hole stories, people falling in holes. And
Okay.
I was so obsessed with finding hole stories that I decided, like, why am I obsessed with this right now? And I looked up the chart at that moment, and the moon was crossing over the galactic center. So pay attention whenever the moon is crossing over the galactic center. You might find yourself fascinated with holes.
Okay.
And yeah, so baby Jessica, the chart of her falling into the well has, just like your chart that you showed me earlier, has Pluto right on the ascendant. See, we pick charts
That
that
is
are
very interesting.
very similar. So Pluto right on the ascendant. Pluto is associated with the underworld. So this is literally baby Jessica embodying the story of
Falling into the
Persephone
underworld. Yes.
falling into the underworld and then bringing her back out, right? So
Mhm.
she's the embodiment of the Persephone story. We also have, like, really close to that, Pluto and Mercury. On one side of Pluto is Venus, and on the other side of Pluto is Mercury on
Mhm.
the ascendant there. And we have Mars in the 12th house. So that like unexpected thing happening. In this case, Mars rules the 6th house, which is the house of bad fortune. Because this is a day chart. Yeah, Mars is the worst planet, and Mars is yeah, like I said, in its fall in Libra, where it doesn't function well, and also Venus is in her fall in Scorpio in the same exact chart. So both Venus and Mars are not doing well.
Okay.
So this is a chart where you're like, okay, oh gosh, a lot of bad stuff is happening here. Like a lot of Mars, malefic Mars not doing good. Also this Pluto, Hades is pulling this baby to the underworld. So we got that going on. We also got the confusion of, there's
How
also
the hell do you get her out? Like,
yeah, yeah. And what was I saying? But this is a chart where things are going to get better because she is eventually going to get rescued. And we can kind of see this where the moon is applying to a square with the sun. So you're going to get a little bit of help from a father figure like that sergeant. He's going to rise to the occasion. We have a mutual reception between Mars and Venus because they're in each other's signs. So even though they're not doing great, they are at least communicating. So this idea of communicating with the underworld is happening here in this chart. And really close to the ascendant too, if you just want to talk about like people wanting to give this baby money. Mercury is right on the ascendant, ruling the eighth house. So Mercury, commerce, and the eighth house, other people's money. And Jupiter is ruling the second house, which also deals with resources that you acquire yourself. So people are just wanting to give this baby everything. On the chart of her being rescued, this is a Gemini rising chart. Interestingly, you chose a Gemini rising chart for your theater disaster. And interestingly, though, it's a night chart with Saturn on the descendant. So the other people are actually the most bad, most difficult placement of this chart. And this kind of speaks to what will eventually happen to the other people involved in the Baby Jessica story, as in their lives are going to go downhill in a lot of ways.
Yeah, that is interesting that you can see that in that chart.
It's interesting, like that an event will tell you everything about what is then going to happen to the lives of the people involved in the event.
Everybody involved, yeah.
Yeah, because Baby Jessica is fine. She's the Gemini rising. Her on this rescue chart, Mercury is in the sixth house, which is the house of bad fortune, which also deals with hospitals. So she's going to spend some time in the hospital. The moon is let's see, moving into a little sextile with the sun. So she's going to be getting help from people in the neighborhood. That's also just points to people wanting to just give her things. And then there's this, Venus, Mars. It's weird. The Mars square Neptune is where this ends up, where there's, it's a night chart though. So Mars isn't too malefic, but it's almost like people are so emotionally involved with the story that they're like, just give this child money, just give her all our money,
just give her everything.
And Jupiter in the 11th house, points to she's going to get a lot of fans from this. It's anyway, fascinating story. I pulled up her Baby Jessica's actual birth chart as well. She's a Gemini rising, exactly as the chart of her rescue is a Gemini rising.
Yeah.
Fascinating. But she does have Mercury in Pisces, which is the worst placement for Mercury, but it's co-present with Jupiter, which is the domicile, a home sign of Pisces. So she's got a very, very strong Jupiter in the 10th house. So she's kind of like destined for fame, right? She's got an exalted sun.
Yeah.
So that's also like destined for fame. And in the 11th house. So she's like, karmically, she has a lot of fans.
Yeah.
People love her.
What did she end up going on to do? Do we know?
She's a mom.
Oh, just
She
like a normal life.
yeah, she got married and had 2 kids,
Hmm.
and she's just yeah, just living life.
Living
Yeah.
life, not
But like
falling into a hole.
a good example of like becoming famous, not necessarily because you work on it or work
Mhm.
really hard for it, but just you fell into a hole. People love you
Oh my
and give
God.
you money.
That's amazing.
uh, so that's the Baby Jessica story.
I love it. That's so interesting. Oh my gosh. It's this thing about the astrology of like people falling into holes is so fascinating to me. I'm like, what? I love it. I'm gonna find that Twitter thread that you made.
I'll say a few of them. The 1980s, between 1986 and 1988, I noticed there was a lot of people falling into holes. The most famous is Baby Jessica. In October 1987, also the same month as Baby Jessica, 11-month-old Colin Barleycorn, that is his name. Colin Barleycorn was rescued from a well in Franklin Lakes, New Jersey. In October 19th, 1987, same year as Baby Jessica, 11-year-old boy in Slater, Missouri, died after falling into a well. Oh.
Ooh.
April 13th, 1988, Alan Cruzen, his name is Alan Cruzen, was rescued after falling into a well in Cadiz, Kentucky. April 15th, 1988, Spotsylvania, Virginia, 5-year-old Benjamin Compton fell into a well after lifting up a piece of plywood covering it. The well owner was charged for not having a proper covering. Oh, and by the way, Sissy's sister, Jamie, who had the daycare, she got sued by the city for negligence or the county for negligence and had to shut down her daycare. So
Oh, well, I mean, you know,
don't have an open pipe in your daycare backyard.
in your daycare. Oh my gosh. What's fascinating about all of this is that like there's all these different stories that you're reading off, but then like specifically this one captivated everybody. Like,
I I think it was kind of like the submarine thing where it was like we have to rescue them because you can imagine
yeah,
being
what it would be
stuck
like. Yeah.
and suffocating and you're like and this is the time of the news cycle and they had graphics on the screen showing the diagram of how they were
Oh my
digging
God.
and people are like I'll just
That
finish up.
makes sense.
September 18th, 1986, Charles Zamanek fell 25 feet down into a well in remote Oregon that was hidden by a bush. Uh,
Hidden by a
guy,
bush.
a helicopter took the victim to an ambulance. October 30th, 1986, 6-year-old Jason Bennett in Chillicothe, Ohio, fell into a well after tripping and falling on a well cover that buckled under his weight. December 15th, 1987, a cow fell into a well in Pearlville, Rhode Island. My
What?
poor guy. The
They get the cow out?
let me see. 4 cows that escaped from their pen 3 weeks ago found that the grass on the other side of the fence is not only not greener, it can be fatal. Oh no.
Oh.
Or just one survived life on the lamb. And that beast was back in custody after it fell into a well and had to be rescued. Sunday, the last 2 of the white-faced Herefords owned by Maplesville Ronald Vass were captured and destroyed.
Oh no.
Farming is not good for animals. July 15th, 1987, Jenny Penn fell into a hole in her backyard in Mount Airy, Maryland, and was rescued by her mailman. Neat, cute rom-com
Oh
idea.
my God. I love
July
that.
26, 1986, in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 7-year-old Adrian Hastely fell into a hole in the riverbed while wading with his friends, and unfortunately he drowned. June 9th, 1988, real life quicksand event, kind of. In Gainesville, Florida, a student sank into a soft ground, which was caused by a broken hot water pipe, and she was scalded. The same thing happened to police officer Helen Sanders exactly 7 years prior. I'm going to have to see if that was a Venus retrograde story. 7 years.
It's fascinating.
Makes me think. October 29th, 1987, football coach Bo Schmebler in Michigan fell into a random hole 22 feet deep. That was just there. There's just a hole.
It's just a hole. That's fine.
So those are the stories I found of people falling in holes. Interestingly, they were all gathered around 1986, 1988, around that period when Saturn and Uranus were going over the galactic center. And that's the astrology of terrible things for this week.
Join us next time.
Yeah, give us a follow on Instagram. I'm trying to build up our Instagram audience for the astrology of terrible things. So you can find it, the astrology of terrible things, all one word, and give us a like and subscribe. And I'm going to figure out eventually a really great way to sign off this podcast. But join us next time, because we're going to have more interesting stories about terrible things, and we're going to try and figure out why they happen.
Music for the show is provided by Bruno Loureiro. Follow us on Instagram at the Astrology of Terrible Things, all one word.